Welcome to Everyday Tarot, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, and today I'm talking about the Two of Wands. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers daily insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, for fresh perspectives and empowering guidance from the tarot as interpreted by me. The best way to support the podcast right now is to listen daily, rate, review, and to follow or subscribe in your chosen podcast app. If you're loving the podcast and want to further support me, you can join my Patreon for behind-the-scenes access to upcoming topics, polls, monthly hangouts, tarot questions, and individual tarot readings, and more. You can always go to my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot for all the latest information related to the podcast and to find images of the cards that I pull. If you're local to the greater Puget Sound area, I'd love to see you at my next Let's Talk Tarot meetup group event on April 6th at 11:15 a.m. We'll be meeting at the Haunted Farmers Market in Tacoma. You can RSVP for that in the show note link for meetup below. If you don't already know, I am a sex and relationships therapist, seeing clients virtually all over Washington state. I love working with queer, kinky, poly, and witchy clients who might be struggling with anxiety, chronic pain and illness, communication issues, self-advocacy, and sex. I am taking on new clients now, and I would love if you go to my website, CamilleASaunders.com, to book a free 20-minute consultation if you'd like to work with me. If you're interested in my free PDF with the 2025 5-card tarot spread I created just for you at the beginning of this year, you can get that by going to join my newsletter list. My weekly newsletter always has the most up-to-date information on my upcoming events, presentations, musings, and info and photos of my day-to-day life. The link to sign up for that is in my show notes as well, or you can always sign up via pop-up on my website. All right, so we are into season 6 now, and in this season, I'm talking all about the Suit of Wands, going through each card, one per episode. If you haven't listened to the other seasons yet, you should go ahead and check those out. The first season, I talked about tarot basics. In seasons 2 and 3, I went through the major arcana and the 4 suits, one per episode. In season 4, I talked all about tarot and pop culture, and season 5, I went through 13 common tarot spreads. And if you want to hear an episode dedicated to an overview of the Suit of Wands, you can check out Season 3, Episode 10. But today we're going to get into specifically the Two of Wands. So images or symbols that are often portrayed on this card are pillars and some level of distance. Pictures, I'm going to be showing 3 different decks versions of the Two of Wands today. You can check that out on my website blog for the podcast, or if you're seeing me on social media, you'll see these as well. So the pictures from the decks I'm talking about today are from the Desert Illuminations Tarot deck by Lindsay D. Williams, the Anima Mundi Tarot deck by Megan Weiwer-Wenden, and the Goddess of Love Tarot deck by Gabriella Herstick and Julia Popescu. All right, so when we think about the Two of Wands, I'm going to read a quick quote from the Toshin book, The Library of Esoterica, about tarot. They speak about it in this way: the will to overcome, the clarification of goals, and dominion over will. The Two of Wands supports persuasive action and an open-minded embrace of new ideas. All right, so what else do we think about when we see the Two of Wands? I'm also going to be looking through my Tarot and Astrology book by Corinne Kenner. They talk about that the Two of Wands is associated with Mars in Aries and is known as Lord of Dominion. They talk about, we first met Mars in Aries in the Tower and the Emperor cards in the Major Arcana. Now the planet and the sign make a repeat appearance in the Two of Wands, where we see Mars as the master of his own domain. The character in the card is a younger version of the Emperor, the Major Arcana card that corresponds to Aries. He's bold, fierce, resolute, and shameless. They're often depicted sitting comfortably on a battlement a low wall of the tower. In tarot, the tower corresponds to Mars, which is Aries' ruling planet. Like the Emperor, the person depicted on the card often holds a scale model of the universe in their hands, but in this case, the symbol of the power and control is a fireball, true to the fiery Aries nature that he controls with the power of his mind. The first decan of Aries depicts the energy in its initial formative stages. The young man in the card has taken a spark from the Ace of Wands and shaped and molded it into a ball of fire. Mars, the red planet, is the natural ruler of Aries. When Mars is in his own sign, he's the king of the castle and master of his realm. After all, he's in his own element, in his own sign, in his own house. He is the lord of all he surveys. In the Golden Dawn, the designers of this card in the deck called it the Lord of Dominion because it depicts Mars in its dignity, and dominion means governing authority and control of a territory. In the Two of Wands, however, Mars isn't just the ruler of the sign, it's the ruler of the first decan too. That gives the Two of Wands an extra dose of powerful Mars energy. So this really drives the jumpstart of the zodiac and pushes the wheel of year into motion. Again, Aries is the beginning of the zodiac season. It starts with the spring equinox every year. So where I'm at recording this now in the Northern Hemisphere, this just happened a week or two ago that we moved into that we had the spring equinox and moved into Aries season. So Mars is the planet of energy, action, aggression, and defense. It symbolizes protection and self-preservation, along with self-assertion, courage, daring, fearlessness, spontaneity, passion, adventure, and violence. It rules competition and combat. Again, I think of Wands as sort of Aries season, fiery energy, right? With the two, we're just kind of getting started in it. If the Ace to 10 journey in each suit is a microcosm of the major arcana journey, then the Two of Wands, we're still very close to the beginning, symbolizes maybe like establishment of things, could be a new business or enterprise. Wands are all of that creative, fiery energy. So again, creating new things. Again, if we think about like in nature, we have springtime where, right, leaves are popping out and flowers are popping out. Flowers create fruit, and this is how we get all the lovely fruit that we enjoy. And so we're really in this like beginning of the creation season. This time, so if we think about this, like the astrological correspondence to the card for the Two of Wands, it says the first decan of Aries usually falls between March 21st and 30th. And right now I'm recording this here on March 31st. I know I'm a couple days early as to when you are listening to it, but again, we're still early in Aries season, which is associated with this card, which I thought was perfect. All right. If we get into the Fearless Tarot book by Elliot Adam, which is how to give a positive reading in any situation, they talk about the Two of Wands. They have a quote that says, "I'll finally be happy when ... dot, dot, dot." So the Two of Wands really represents this idea that there's something missing, and that if you were to get that thing, maybe you would be happy. So it can be like a restless energy too, right? Again, like if the Ace is the spark, the creation of the energy, the Two, we're still like really early on, right? We might have the goal, the vision of the Ten of Wands, right? We might like of the court cards of the Wands, where we're trying to get to the end, to this lovely thing that we're creating. But we have to set goals and make improvements in our life. And sometimes that can be a very restless time period. I know I certainly feel that when I have a lot of vision or dream for something in the future, and then it feels like, okay, but that's so far away. Like, I want to do something right now, today, to like get me closer to that future. It can be very uncomfortable sitting in feeling that distance, which I think is why, like in the card, there's often this distance depicted. And sometimes these like pillars, which like, right, we have this foundation, right, to create a building or to create something, but we only have two, right? Like two pillars doesn't hold up much. And so we have to think about, right, what are we trying to achieve? And that also may be that even when we have 10 pillars, right, getting the thing might not make us happy, right? We have to also sort of think about the journey on the way there. And getting what we desire can feel good at the time. But if we just sort of like want to jump to it and not sort of like work through what we need to maybe achieve or think about the possibilities as we get there, like that is where things kind of fall to the wayside. The restless search for happiness through achievements, money, relationships, status symbols can get you nowhere fast. Do you ever think I'll be happy when I finally have X? Do you feel restless or anxious that you haven't lived up to your true purpose yet? Do you somehow believe that the right salary, the right position, the right weight, or even the right person has the power to finally make you happy? So again, if we think about the traditional sort of Rider-Waite-Smith depiction of the card, it is like a man looking over this great expanse of like land, of an estate. Um, and there is this sort of like longing or distance or restlessness um, that character, that like sort of archetype felt maybe from childhood. And that if you just get to that right place, right, if I just get to this thing, then I'll be happy. Maybe this archetype again was like poor growing up, or there was a struggle for money. He saw poverty was making those around him suffer, and he thought, if I just make money, then I will be happy, right? That will make things easier. And so money certainly does make things easier, but it doesn't necessarily make you happy. Um, right? And this can like be this sort of false equivalency that we might strive for the thing, and then when we get the thing, we realize we're not actually happy, even though we have it. So what is next? Um, right? So maybe even if you wanted this wealth, it might not feel like enough. You might be comparing yourselves to those around you that right are living in these grand lives, or right, maybe you're comparing on social media and seeing that other people are doing all these great things, and you just think like, oh, if I could just do that, if I could just right live in the fine castle, if I could just have a view of the ocean, if I could just have this or that, then I'll feel like that sensation of like at peace or calm in your body. Um, yeah, so again, when we're thinking about the sort of archetype of the character, um, we think about like manifesting all these things. It might feel good, then the restless feeling comes back. They talk about that the castle that's often depicted in the card is emblazoned with the same roses and lilies that appear on the magician's card. So the Lord's focus manifested all of his rich holdings. This made him feel good, finally, but only for a couple of days. Then the old restless feeling comes back. We catch a glimpse of him now in the picture. You can see him holding a globe. Again, this is a traditional depiction of it. He's sort of holding this globe out in front of him, but he's also kind of looking past it towards the sea. He's thinking, I'd be happy if I finally owned the whole world with all its treasures. How much are you willing to bet that even the whole world wouldn't make him happy? The lesson of the Two of Wands is that the acquisition of things and the achievement of goals is not enough to bring happiness to an already unfulfilled heart. Money can make it easier to enjoy your life, but it will not actually provide joy. Your bliss must come from deep within. The truth is that accomplishments, other people, how you look, and money can't make you happy if you aren't already happy with yourself as you are now. If you can find self-love and joy at this moment without achieving another goal in life, then you have freed yourself from the restless search. Today, stop thinking, if I lose 5 pounds, I'll be happy. If I find the right person, I'll be happy. If I get the right job, I'll be happy. If I become a doctor, I'll be happy. If enough people like my post, I'll be happy. If I get the right house, I'll be happy. If I look a certain way, I'll be happy. Because it's just not true. Wherever you go, there you are. The Two of Wands asks us to stop searching and reconnect with your inner bliss right now. You don't have to wait. It's here today. but only if you stop looking in all the places where it isn't. And yeah, I guess to just sort of give like a personal example of what this can feel like, right? And when we get that sensation of like, oh, I just want the thing, right? I just really want, I know that I will enjoy it once I have it. I want the thing that I think will be helpful and, in my life or make things easier. So for me, that's like a farm. I want the farm. And I actually had a conversation with my boyfriend last night about like, okay, yeah, we can work towards that goal, right? It might mean saving a certain amount of money. It might be expanding some of our parameters as we look at houses or expanding maybe like where in the country we're looking. But also, right, what are the things that we can do right now to enjoy our house as it is? Right? There's some maybe like indoor projects or improvements in our home that because we had this goal of moving and like, again, like sort of putting all our energy into, oh, I just want this thing, I want the farm, I want to move, I want more land, that there can be a tendency I know I fall into of like, well, I don't need to work on this. I don't need to put up that shelf in my kitchen because, well, I'm just going to move anyway, right? So like, I don't need to improve my current space because, well, I'm gonna upgrade my space and just entirely move. So we both sort of made a commitment last night of like, okay, what are some of those smaller things that would already make us feel like we enjoy our house more, or decluttering, or right, sort of focus, or putting up the shelf, right, that I know that I'll enjoy. And even if I only enjoy it for like 3 months, I know that that will, like still bring me some like happiness as I get to see all my jars lined up on the wall. This is the shelf that I'm imagining for all my mason jars full of goods or things that I draw or stuff like that. Um, and so that's one thing that I've definitely had on my mind, like since we bought the house, which was in 2020. And here we are in 2025, and I still, right, we haven't put up the one shelf because, oh, well, like we might move one day, right? And again, this is a very small example, but I think this is sort of the energy of this card of like, oh, because I want the thing that's so far away, right? I literally can't see, right, the globe that you're holding right in front of you, which again is sort of this like microcosm of the world. Just in the image, the person is looking out sort of like over the world, and they're sort of looking past the things that they, right, could do in their day to day or enjoy in their day to day. And right now, I have a lovely yard. I've put, right, 5 years of work into my lovely garden and the greenhouse, and I have a pond, and everything is actually pretty easy right now in my garden. And honestly, like that feeling can also be kind of uncomfortable. I like moving towards and working towards goals, and I've had a lot of projects lined up in my yard again since we bought the house, and it was all grass, and I had all these grand plans. And now, right, what I perhaps maybe should be doing is sitting back and enjoying my yard before, right, I then go and perhaps move to another property where I'm going to have a clean slate again, and I'm going to have to kind of put in all that effort again. And while that effort, that toil, that like imagining and dreaming can be very fun, right? Like if we are only dreaming to create the thing in the future, and then when we have it, we don't enjoy it, then we're just going to keep creating, right, sort of more goals for ourselves in the future. We're going to keep moving the finish line, and then perhaps we might never spend time celebrating what we already have. So this is really what I'm thinking about with this card again, as we think about, right, how do we enjoy the things we currently have? How do we think about the foundations that we're building, right, the creation of things that we're still early in the journey of, and not, right, it hasn't been fulfilled yet. It's only a 2 out of the 10, right? If we think about where we're at in the Wands suit, that we've taken like one step, right? If the ace is the beginning, the walking through the threshold, the 2 would be like, okay, we're like one step in. And sometimes that one step can feel like the most uncomfortable because you decided to make progress, but very little has been done thus far. And if we just are always moving that finish line, again, like we might perhaps never achieve like the happiness that we can have right now, right? Again, I can enjoy my house as it is right now, or I can enjoy it more with like that one shelf that I really want. And even if, again, it's not this major improvement, or it's like, oh, I'm just going to paint a wall, or oh, I'm going to move something around, like enjoy where we are in the present right now and take some time to just sit with that and not always be thinking about what the next thing is. What's the next thing I can do? What's the next goal I have? What's the next vision? I think in our very capitalistic, fast moving culture, we don't often praise or honor or celebrate the folks that are enjoying the present moment, that are resting, that are sitting in the garden and enjoying it instead of toiling over it, right? Like the labor gets highly praised, and the rest is often, right, is seen as laziness, or that you're not working hard enough, or oh, if you just did more, then you would be happy. And laziness does not exist. Um, so yeah, how do we enjoy where we are right now? How do we rest? How do we take care of ourselves? Right? Again, if we think about that we're only 2 out of 10 on the journey, we got a long way to go. And so what are we going to do? How are we going to spend that time? How do we enjoy the process, right? How do we enjoy the journey and not just always be trying to achieve the running through the finish line celebratory moment? How do we celebrate the small wins along the way? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pull a card to see what the cards have to say for us today on this topic. So I'm going to be thinking about, yeah, where can I celebrate right now? Where can I be resting and enjoying and finding the joy in small things and not just always moving the goalpost for myself? And right, as we think about what might be happening in your own life as well. All right, and today I'm pulling from my Sasuraibito Tarot deck by Sasia Burrington. I'm going to give it one more quick shuffle and then I'll pull a card. All right, so again, as we think about resting, enjoying where we are on the journey, not always moving the goalposts, what do we need to be thinking about? What do we need to be centering in our life? What can we do today to sit, to celebrate, to honor, to, yeah, be happy about the small things and to not always be looking ahead? Okay, I pulled the Six of Pentacles in reverse. I also pulled this particular card out of this deck the other day, I think over the weekend. So let's go ahead and look. And Pentacles are earth energy, so about grounding. This card is about kind of giving and receiving. So I'm just going to read the reversal since that is where we're at, and this deck has a separate like reversal description for each card. So it says, a role as a giver or taker is too imbalanced. The danger is in giving so much that you're prone to being taken advantage of, or in taking more than your share, getting into debt, or becoming a burden. In a relationship, this could mean one partner is doing a lopsided amount of work. So it sounds like this card is telling us, right, okay, look around in your life. Is there something where you're giving too much and you're not sort of being met in the middle in return? Right, we can be aware of that. We don't have to be alarmed by it, but we can maybe decide that we're going to make different choices in the future. I know I'm going to be a bit of rest today. I had a long, fun day yesterday. but my body is still sort of physically recovering. So I'm thinking about, okay, make sure I'm not getting too much, perhaps as a podcast host, and that, okay, I'm going to stop at 2 episodes recorded today and not go to more. Right, again, this could be coming up in relationships, this could be coming up in workplace, or just in other aspects of your life. Maybe even you're the one that is sort of, right, maybe your goals in life or what you really want to do is that part that feels imbalanced, right? Maybe, again, sort of like going into debt or becoming, like, they say a burden, but almost in this way where it's like, how we speak about a financial burden, where it's like, okay, like, right, we can take on debt sometimes, or we can do those kinds of things, but we have to have the swing, right? We have to have the, like, okay, now we're going to have abundance and we're going to be able to pay that off. Or later, right, we're going to work towards that, or that this is only temporary. And sometimes, right, that temporary space or time, right, again, how I was talking about with my house, right, can feel, what am I trying to say? The temporary time can feel either very long or very short, depending on what you have going on in the future, right? If you're really sort of striving towards something else, like I feel like with this farm, the temporary time of like 1 year of thinking about and looking at houses and trying to consider about moving and looking at property and what do I want and what do I need and what's going to meet my goals and needs, that can feel really long. And sometimes like doing something for a year, it's like, oh, that's not enough. Like, I want more, right? Maybe, again, like when we go on vacation for a short amount of time, like a week even, which can, like, be long in our society for real in the US, unfortunately. But even 1 week, right, that can feel like, oh man, is it worth it to take 1 week of vacation when I have all this work on the beginning and the end and the middle? And so thinking about these ways in our life and these different things that are coming up right now that might just be feeling a little imbalanced, right? And maybe noticing it and maybe not even taking action right now, but just thinking about, okay, how do I, right? How do I rebalance? Or how do I, right? Is this only for a temporary amount of time and I knew it was going to be this way? Okay, well, how am I going to work towards, again, it's sort of swinging the other way? And that can too be about like celebrating, right? Maybe we've been, again, sort of noticing all of our flaws or noticing the things that we're not doing instead of noticing, like I talked about with my yard, like all the wonderful things that I've like worked very hard every year to change about my yard. And now it's at this place where I'm like, oh, I kind of just get to enjoy it. I get to, I'm planting seeds for the year and I'm starting some plants, but I would say it's the most relaxed gardening season I've had. I basically am just writing down the seeds that I'm sowing. I have not planned necessarily. I'm writing down what I do. But it feels so sort of innate now in the timing of things. And I sort of just naturally remember, like, oh yeah, okay, well, I have some time this weekend. I can start to sow these seeds and get these out. And I'm also trying to kind of cut back on a lot of the things that I've grown in the past that maybe if we think about overgiving, right, sometimes we have to give a lot of attention to certain plants because we're pushing the boundaries of our climate or our zone or different things like that. And we have to have a lot of measures to keep them alive and healthy. And right, like this year, I'm thinking about like, I don't actually want to work that hard, right? I don't actually want to force these plants to grow by doing all this extra labor. Maybe I'm just gonna, right, plant the things that I know do really well in my area, plant the slicing tomatoes that I greatly enjoy in summer, and not worry about extending, right, and having tomatoes all the way through until December and canning and all these different things. Like maybe I want to enjoy it when it's in its height of its season, a part of seasonal living, right? Enjoying the fruits and the things that are in season, and then taking a break from them when they're not at their peak, right? Or when you're not at your peak, and not forcing ourselves to work the same amount as hard or as dedicated or as many hours all year round, because that is not really how nature works in any way. Okay, this is getting kind of long, so I'm going to stop there, but Thanks so much for joining me today. Links for the tarot decks will always be in the show notes and on my website if you'd like to look at them or purchase them. And just as a reminder, the podcast comes out daily, Monday through Friday for all of 2025. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.